Israel in February with a whole bunch of rabbis from all over the country, and I asked everyone I could think of, tell me what you think is going on here. And the message was consistent. The message of, if you don't live here and you don't vote here, you don't get a voice here. They said consistently is passé. That is an old message. Actually, we need your voice.
Shalom לכולם, אני אביגיל, my name is Abigail. I am a concerned Israeli citizen. I'm currently Boston based and I will be overseeing the ceremony today. First of all, we wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to Rabbi Marcia Plumb and to the lovely congregation of Mishkan for offering us this venue. There are still talks under the auspice of President Herzog, which are continuing but don't show much promise for agreements, as the demonstrations in Israel continue in full force all over the country, and hundreds of thousands of people coming to the streets and protesting in numerous creative ways, with the support and the solidarity of our allies in the US. In the background, the coalition continues to prepare laws to be passed at the push of a button. And this is, the timing of this is actually really critical. The new plenary is supposed to continue to meet after Yom Ha'atzmaut, which is coming up. And this was supposedly the end of the intended hiatus of when Netanyahu has declared the intended time for the talks. So it's really imperative that we continue being here, continue protesting, getting our voice heard, because potentially all of these laws could be brought back within days. What is actually new? So Israelis and Jews around the world have joined forces this last week. Thousands of Jews traveled to Israel with various delegations, such as the JFNA, Jewish Federation of North America, the WZO and WZC, World Zionist Organization and Council, the Sochnut, and others, initially with the intention of celebrating the 75th anniversary of Israel. We have achieved, I don't know if all of you have followed the news today, a huge victory. Prime Minister Netanyahu has canceled his participation in the General Assembly of the conference. His speech was supposed to happen exactly 1 hour ago, 8 p.m. Sunday night, so it has not happened. And this is a huge achievement for the protest movement, thanks to you and our American allies and the participating delegates, many of whom plan to walk out of the protests. And there are still protests happening on the ground outside, and a lot of noise is being made. So, and I will tell you why this is really meaningful. Also, hearing from my friends in Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu likes to say that he is Israel's best diplomat abroad, and hurting the image of his diplomatic and foreign policy actually puts him at a very problematic position in Israel in terms of the way that he's viewed internally. And the fact that he's no longer welcomed warmly by the Jewish community, Jewish American community, is a very big deal. Other MKs that represent the judicial overhaul, Rotman and Shikli, are also participating in the conference. This community and the Jewish congregations have asked the Federation to disinvite them, but they did not completely agree with our demands. But it is with unimaginable coordination between the organizer in Israel and all of us abroad, and the courageous, Israel-loving, democracy-seeking, liberal delegates from North America, that these events had turned into an outstanding public support of the protest movement. That all of you guys have been sending testimonies, disrupting coalition speakers, walking out of sessions, and joining demonstrations and organization of our own. The protest movement leaders and people welcome us, and they hugged all of the delegations in Israel, thanking them for their support of the Israeli movement. It is important to note that all of this is happening this week, throughout the time that we commemorate Yom HaShoah and Yom HaZikaron, the Holocaust Memorial Day and Israel Memorial Day, which are both usually commemorated traditionally as national ceremonies in Israel. This has also been a point of political tension between the government and the protesters, and for the first time, Holocaust survivors and bereaved families have asked politicians from the coalition not to attend the ceremonies. Actually, there has been some also news on that front. The member of Knesset Galit Distel Atbarian has already notified she will not be attending, and the hopes that others would follow. And this sends a very strong message showing that actions have consequences. Currently, the only one who is continuing forward is Ben Gvir, who says he will continually attend the טקס יום הזיכרון in באר שבע. ממש, בושה.
A German theologian. His widely quoted poem, written in 1946, resonates today with so many of us. In particular, I feel very much connected to the message it conveys. The quote is etched also in the Holocaust Memorial in downtown Boston. They came first for the communists, and I did not speak up because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for Jews, and I did not speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I did not speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time, no one was left to speak up.
Shalom, friends. I am here to speak about democracy, what's happening right now in Israel, about the justice system. But I will give you a little brief history about my life, which I'm cutting down a lot, because if I had to speak about the Holocaust, it would take hours. So I'm going to cut it down to 5 minutes only. As you know, I am the survivor, and I went through the worst time of my life during the war, because I was a youngster when the Germans occupied my country. When they came, first I lived under Ukraine, which was brutal, then came Poland, and of course then came Russia in 39. In 41, Germans occupied my land, and that's when the horror began. So let me tell you, the Holocaust was my darkest memory of my childhood. I witnessed it's hard to describe what I witnessed during the war, because I was in hiding with my mom. First, I was in a farmer's place for 6 months, because my mom, we had an estate in the country. My mother promised the farmer that if he saves me, she'll give over all our estates after the war. And he agreed. For 6 months I stayed in his house, and of course I had to learn the Christian prayers and all that. I went to church. I couldn't go to school because he was afraid people might point fingers at me. So I helped them with all kinds of chores in the house. Well, to make the story short, after 6 months, a neighbor came and he said, if you are going to keep the Jewish girl, the whole village will be killed, because that's what Hitler's policy was. If they find the Jew, the whole village will be destroyed. So in the meantime, I had built a bunker for my mom. My mom was at that time with me, and she was in the bunker with another family that had 2 children. So I had to join my mom in the bunker. And of course, life was horrible, because we didn't have any warm clothes. The only thing that he did is give me a blanket, and I think that saved my life, because I was wearing wooden shoes. So for food, what we had to do during the war, summertime wasn't too bad, because we went in the fields and would take some potatoes, onion, whatever we could find. Also blueberries in the woods, mushrooms, and that's how we survived summertime. Wintertime was the worst part. We had to melt the snow and wash ourselves, and we had a little, like a small stove, so we had to cook at night whatever we had left over. Occasionally, the farmer that saved my life brought some food. So, and the rest, whenever it was a pretty good weather, we would go out and to the farmers and beg them, and some of them saw 3 children, they would throw a piece of bread or a piece of cheese, but most of them would say, dirty Jew, just run because we killed you. Well, this is about the Holocaust, but now I want to tell you, going back to democracy. I came to this blessed country in 1950, and that's where I experienced all the freedom. And I said to myself, oh my God, what a wonderful land. I feel that Israel should change the policies right now, because what's going on in this country is unbelievable. And I'm still worried that with all that's going on, Iran shouldn't take advantage of that situation, what's happening now. So my hope is that Israel will definitely change, especially Netanyahu has to change the whole policy, and Israel becomes a democratic state. And that's what we are all praying for. And thank you so much for listening to me.
תודה רבה לתניה. Next up, we have a song called מקום לדאגה. I invite our amazing musicians, and as they're setting up behind me, I always miss out on all the names, so I would like to introduce them. We have with us Naomi on the guitar. We have Aditi Tov, who is singing. We have Abigail Gans, also in the background. And on the guitar, we have Eren Levin. Sorry, and Naomi said, send them on the drums. רבה, זה ממש מקסים. Next up, we have our second speaker for today. We have Naomi, Geri, Naslavsky, and she will be speaking from a member of the parent circle, speaking on behalf of her mother and her aunt. And your mom is here today, right? So thank you very much for coming and sharing with us.
סבא שלי נולד בארגנטינה שנתיים לפני שקמה מדינת ישראל. כשהיה בן 17 הוא עלה לארץ, למדינת ישראל היהודית והדמוקרטית עליה חלם, ועתה היה מבוגר מספיק כדי לתרום לבנייתה ותקומתה. מדינה שנולדה על בסיס הרעיונות שהובילו אותו כל חייו, שוויון, שיתוף, בנייה, חירות, דמוקרטיה ויהדות. הוא התיישב בקיבוץ, התגייס לצבא, ועבד בחינוך ובחקלאות. הוא התאהב, התחתן והוליד 2 בנות. ביום כיפור, שנת 73, 7 שנים לאחר שעלה לארץ, הוא נקרא לשירות מילואים, להגן על המדינה, בה רצה לבנות ולהיבנות ולחיות. הוא יצא למלחמה כי ידע שיש דברים שצריך להילחם עבורם, ובמקרה שלו גם הקריב את החיים. הוא נהרג בתעלת סואץ 15 ימים לאחר שהחלה המלחמה. 50 שנים אנחנו ממשיכות להיאבק, לשמור ולשמר את הערכים בהם דגל סבא שלנו. 50 שנים בהם אנו מנסות לעשות את הדמוקרטיה שלנו חזקה יותר, מכילה יותר ושוויונית יותר. ועכשיו, כשגם מה שחשבנו שהוא מובן מאליו נמצא תחת מתקפה, אנחנו נרתמות למאבק ביתר שאת. בשל מותו של סבי במלחמה, ביקשו ממני לדבר פה היום. אבל בשביל החיים, אנחנו נדרשות להילחם עכשיו על מה שכבר לא מובן מאליו. על מדינת ישראל דמוקרטית, על דמוקרטיה לכולם, ללא הבדל דת, מין, גזע, מוצא, שפה, צבע או אזור מגורים. זה הבסיס, ועל זה אני בטוחה שסבא שלי היה יוצא להילחם גם היום. Now I read a text that my aunt wrote and I translated. She's about to read it next Tuesday in the cemetery where my grandfather is buried. My father was killed in the Yom Kippur War. It has been 50 years since, and each year we stand here on Memorial Day. We have always stood here, even when it was less comfortable to be a kind of symbol. I have always respected the ceremony. I was present. I listened to the beautiful words said on the graves. I respected, even if I didn't always agree. And when soldiers sent by the state started to appear to commemorate the fallen, I understood. I accepted, even if I didn't agree. I stood here because my entire country stands still, one day in memory of our fallen and shares in our mourning. But this year, more than ever, it is impossible. My country, yours, ours, stopped respecting us. And I am no longer willing to stand in silence and nod and wipe away a tear. This year, I am angry. I am protesting about the country we had, about its loss. My father set out to defend the country he emigrated to, that he dreamed of, that he came to build and be built in. He left his home, his family, and came to a country where he is no longer seen, led by those who dishonor his memory. So this year, I stand here and hug you, because this grief has become a collective one. It is no longer just mine, it is ours.
I will say that seeing the images of the demonstrations yesterday from Tel Aviv and everywhere in Israel, the upcoming Yom HaZikaron was very much felt as part of the protest movement. There were huge signs honoring all the fallen, one of the protest signs was Bemotam Tzivu, which means in their death they have declared, which means some sort of an allegiance with the people who have sacrificed their lives as a symbol to honoring their memory and fighting for democracy. And this week we also saw, unfortunately, the passing of a Israeli legend, Yonatan Geffen, who was a very, very vocal advocate for the process of peace, and he was part of the protests in Israel. And another large sign was Hanasicha Katan Mipluga Bet, which is one of his very famous lyrics. In English it translates to The Little Prince from Brigade B. I'm freely translating, but we would like to bring here today a recording of Yonatan Geffen speaking his poem, The White Dove. He was planning on sharing this poem at the joint memorial service of bereaved Israeli and Palestinian families, which will be taking place in Israel. And also, according to the news, the Palestinian families just received authorization from Bagatz to attend. We are going to play the poem followed by an English translation, and also if you follow, there are the words on the website, so you can follow along.
היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, היא עומדת שם כבר הרבה שנים, אתם יודעים. היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, לציפורים אחרות בגילה כבר יש נכדים. היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, תנו לה לרדת מהפלקטים ולעבור לשובח בגינה. היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, כבר הגיע הזמן שגם לה יהיה גוזל קטן, בן יונה. היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, יותר מדי מלחמות עומדות אצלה בתור. היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, ענף הזית הוא התייבש לה במקור. היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, ומיום ליום היא פחות לבנה ויותר חיוורת. היונה הלבנה כבר זקנה, תגידו לה שכלו המים, שהיא משוחררת.
The white dove has grown old. She has been standing there for years, you know. The white dove has grown old. Other birds her age already have grandchildren. The white dove has grown old. Too many wars stand before her in line. The white dove has grown old. Her olive branch has dried up at its root. The white dove has grown old. They have let her come down from the flags to find a resting place for herself in the garden. The white dove has grown old. The time has come for her to have a hatchling, the song of a dove. The white dove has grown old. The white dove has grown old, and every day she becomes less white and more pale. The white dove has grown old. Tell her that the waters have run out and that she is free. The white dove has grown old.
ושכחתי את הדרך, אבל אני עוד כאן, ויהיה טוב, כן, לפעמים אני נשבע, אז הלילה מחפשים סיבה לנשום, ובין שנאה לרצח מדברים על השלום. ויהיה טוב, כן, לפעמים אני נשמע. אז הלילה, איתך אני נשאר. אני מביט מהחלון, לראות אם כל זה אמיתי. מביט מהחלון וממלמל את תפילתי. עוד נגור זאב עם כבש ונמר ירבץ לצידי, אך בינתיים אל תוציאי את כף ידך מכף ידי. ויהיה טוב, כן, לפעמים אני נשאר. אז הלילה, איתך אני נשאר. אני מביט מהחלום, אולי מגיע יום חדש.
Thank you very much. I will say that was very emotional. Also, thank you to Barbara Griffin for reading the translation. I lost you. Thank you. And with that, I would like to introduce our third speaker, Rabbi Marcia Plumb, who will give her own understanding of the situation.
So first of all, I want to welcome all of you here. It's lovely to have you. And I want to welcome all those who are joining us via Zoom. I know that some of you are from all over the country. You're all over the place. But what's really powerful is that our voices are all together. Wherever you are in the country and wherever Jews are today, all eyes, as we all know, are on Israel today. So it is as if we are here, but as we know, it is as if every Jew in the world is watching Israel right now. And we are all a voice together, or perhaps, probably more likely a cacophony of voices, admittedly. But, sorry, there's, you might need me to help you do that. Oh, yeah, okay. You go away. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. Sorry, that's my eternal problem, being rabbi and tech person at the same time. Anyway, so just a few stories that I'd like to share with you. One is, the other day, we gathered for Yom HaShoah, and one of our speakers who survived the Shoah, we asked each one to tell us what hope they have for the future. What legacy, what message do they want to pass on to us that we will carry forward? And her message was, be careful, be aware. When you see tyrants, when you see people speak out of totalitarianism, and when you see leaders speak out for self-interest and try to lead their government for self-interest, speak out. I have seen what happens. I can see it happening. Be aware. Be awake. So it's very exciting to feel the energy in this room and know that we are awake. Second story. I have 6 congregants who are with the Boston Spark trip. Yes. Yes. And the exciting thing, one of them took with her, she packed with her her Israeli flag so that she could drape herself with it and turn her back to Netanyahu when he showed up, and then walk out with the Israeli flag. But sadly, yeah, I know. But I hope she takes the flag with her anyway, and I hope she took it with her anyway to the gathering. 5 of those people on the Spark trip are young adults, and when I asked them what do they hope for on their trip, one of them said to me something very powerful, and they all were nodding. They were all, yeah, we agree. She said, I've been to Israel as a kid. I've been raised in Jewish education all my life, and I went to Israel as a kid. But now I'm going as an adult, and I want to create my own relationship with Israel. I want a new adult relationship with Israel. One of the things I've heard over and over is that these protests that are happening all over the world, and particularly in Israel, may put people off of Israel, may make Jews feel like, ooh, we shouldn't air our dirty laundry in public kind of thing, right? But what I saw and what I see is just the opposite. These young adults want to engage with a vibrant, active, democratic Israel. They want to feel connected. They're going on purpose, ready to listen, to ask, to bring back messages to us and create their own bond, their own relationship. So I was very heartened by that. So that was very good. Yeah. I also sent all of them the letter about walking out and everything. So I sent them with a lot of instructions, and thanks to Yaniv, trying to connect them with some of the organizers. And they're very excited about meeting with some of the organizers, and so they're right there. They're right there, which is great. Third story, or maybe that was the fourth, I don't know, but I just have a couple more. I've lost track of them, but I promise I'll be brief. Although don't ask my congregants if I'm brief, because they're here, and they'll tell you that I'm never brief, but I'll try. I went to Israel in February with a whole bunch of rabbis from all over the country, and I asked everyone I could think of, tell me what you think is going on here, and tell me what you want us to take back with you. So cab drivers and farmers and musicians and artists and economists and historians and academics, wide range, and friends of mine who are religious Zionists as well. And the message was consistent. The message was a few things. One is the message of, if you don't live here and you don't vote here, you don't get a voice here. They said consistently is passé. That is an old message. Actually, we need your voice. Go. And I didn't ask them. I didn't prod that. I just said, tell me what you think. And they said, go back to America and to world Jewry and say, we need your experience with democracy. We need your experience with pluralism. Don't be silent. What happens in Israel happens to you. And what happens here in the rest of the world happens to Israel. We are, even though we're different countries, obviously, but we are one people. And we are, for better or for worse, codependent on each other, dare I say, or as I say, for better or for worse. So go back and speak. Make your voice heard. The other message that I got consistently from my religious Zionist friends as well, who said, don't write blank checks. From now on, support Israel, definitely continue to support Israel, continue to encourage the Congress to support Israel, no question about it. And I happen to agree with that. But when you send money to Israel, send it to organizations that will support democracy, that will support pluralism, that will support women's rights and unwomen's rights. one of them pointed out to me, when America was 75 years old, you may remember, she was about to enter into a civil war. I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen in Israel. Please God, it will not happen in Israel. However, when America was 75 years old, she was about to make a major shift in how she was in the world, what kind of country she was, what kind of values America was going to have. And so too, Israel might be at that point as well, at 75 years, hopefully peacefully, but a shift in ensuring that what Israel wrote in the democracy, in the Declaration 75 years ago, it's now time to say, oh yeah, we do believe in that. Oh yeah, we've gotten a bit off course. We're a bit off course, it's time to readjust and bring ourselves back to those values. So I have hope for this moment in time. I have hope that there will be a shift toward a back to the future time when they return to this document and really live it and celebrate it. Final point, and I promise this is the final point. I teach a genre of Jewish literature called Musar. It's a fantastic transformational method in Jewish wisdom that is about self-development. And the midah, the trait that I'm focusing on, and I send out these little Omer messages every day. You really don't want to get them. They're kind of like every morning you see my face on your email. Anyway. And the trait, the midah for this week is zerizut, is determination, persistence, and enthusiasm. And I believe that what we're seeing in Israel and the news today is a phenomenal example of zerizut, of this determination and persistence and enthusiasm for what the state should be and can be, and how it truly can be a light to the nations because of our persistence and determination to make that happen. So I feel like that's the next export for Israel, that Israel will not only export oranges and tech, but will also export zerizut, because we in America need that persistence against gun violence and against taking away minority rights and women's rights to choose. We need the same enthusiasm that we're learning from Israel at the moment, that same persistence, that same determination, that same zeal. With open arms what Israelis are teaching us today, and I hope that they hear our voice and we hear theirs, and we are truly a united people for democracy and pluralism. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. We're going to end our program today with a song, Shir Leshalom, if I can invite our... first, before that, we have a reading of the Declaration of Independence. Where is Israeli? If I can call you up. After that, we will have the song.
I'm going to read just 2 paragraphs from the middle portion of our Israeli Declaration of Independence, the essence of the declaration that says in Hebrew as following: מדינת ישראל תהא פתוחה לעלייה יהודית ולקיבוץ גלויות, תשקוד על פיתוח הארץ לטובת כל תושביה, תהא מושתתה על יסודות החירות, הצדק והשלום, לאור חזונם של נביאי ישראל, תקיים שוויון זכויות חברתי ומדיני גמור לכל אזרחיה, בלי הבדל דת, גזע ומין, תבטיח חופש דת, מצפון, לשון, חינוך ותרבות, תשמור על המקומות הקדושים של כל הדתות, ותהיה נאמנה לעקרונותיה של מגילת האומות המאוחדות. מדינת ישראל תהא מוכנה לשתף פעולה עם המוסדות והנציגים של האומות המאוחדות בהגשמת החלטת העצרת מיום 29 בנובמבר 1947 ותפעל להקמת האחדות הכלכלית של ארץ ישראל בשלמותה.
It is important to put this into context that this is the baseline for everything we're fighting for and the democratic ideals as we celebrate the 75th Yom Ha'atzmaut. With that, we will please bring up our wonderful musicians who are gonna sing Shir לשלום, joined by musical guest Naslavsky.